ballers, rappers. She looking for the stars and the Hollywood actors. It's not a game. We talk about.
What's good? What's good? We in the building again. Once again, what's going on, man? Another episode of Rappers and Ballers. This is a special one. We got family in the building. We at a beautiful secret location. Ain't gonna be so secret soon after this. But I'm Jonny Vulgar, of course.
Fredro Starr.
And we got the boy, the legendary Steve
Legendary.
Lobel in the building.
The
What's good,
OG.
Steve?
Rappers and Ballers, I like that.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Rappers and
That's
Ballers,
right.
man.
I like that.
You were part of the game so long, so we gonna try to get into everything. There's no chance we can get into everything. How much stuff?
That shit'll probably take all year.
I know, right?
just the third. How many years?
Over 30.
Over 30.
Over 30 years.
But I want to say this real quick before we start. God is great. Rest in peace
All the
to the
time.
late great Jam Master Jay from Run DMC. That's how I met Fredro. And rest in peace to Big DS.
Rest in
And
peace.
shout out
Absolutely.
Stick and shout out Suave.
The original Onyx Foundation.
Yes.
I wanna go back when you said we used to go to his. Steve was the early entrepreneur. A lot of people don't know.
Definitely.
We met him through Jam Master Jay.
Mm-hmm.
And we would actually go to your bar to test the records. Like
Like the reaction of the crowd.
it was a cool environment. Jay, Randy, the whole jam. Jay, rest in peace to Marvin.
Yep. Jay's brother, yep.
And we would all go there. And your man, the weed guy, we be smoking weed.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace to him too. It was this Asian dude. He used to blow us down. We used to go to the bar. He used to have all the ill trees, and he was like I wrote the Onyx movie, and he's part of it. That Asian kid because because he was part of that whole shit. You know
Rest
what
in
I'm
peace
saying?
to
Coming up.
Yas. We were ahead of our time with weed.
Right.
And this is Queens.
Yeah.
This is Queens.
Yep, on Union Turnpike near St. John's University. And like he said, he was coming to the bars and restaurant. I'm going to tell a funny story. And obviously, we would go all over the place because we could talk here for years.
Oh yeah, we're
but
good.
They wanted to create the next Marky Mark.
Who did?
Sticky and Fredro. and even
No
Jay.
Funky Bunch.
So they used my bar to do like a casting for the white boys.
Right.
You know? And they finally found this kid.
Right.
And Stick wrote this song like exercise your body, your triceps, your biceps, some shit like that. Right?
We wrote it together.
Right,
Yeah.
And
we wrote it together.
they found this one kid and they put him in the studio. And we obviously used the bar because near St. John, so a lot of fraternity brothers would come. And we had sorority sisters working there. And they found this one kid and they made the record. And then I had a bartender named Ed Frank on the weekends. He worked for me, but during the week he worked for Relativity Sony for Alan Grumblatt. And at that time, Relativity was in Hollis, Queens. And we went over there for a meeting to play that record with Jam Master Jay and Fredro and Sticky and myself. And that's when I met Alan, and then he offered me a job, and I got a job.
Is that when you met Alan? Do that?
Yes.
Yo, for the record, here's how the record went.
Oh, wow.
Exercise your biceps, abdomen, waist, and triceps. Keep your body in tip top, cause it's the only one that you got. That's how it went. Remember?
Wow, you remembered it. Yo, and let me tell you something.
That shit could go
if
flat
this
right
would have
now.
went, no, it would have went because, look, it could go now too, but Onyx was so on fire. You had Jam Master Jay, I think, produced the record.
Yeah.
And then they wrote the record for the kid, and the kid was a good-looking kid, and could have got commercials. And now listening to it, because fitness is so big.
Yeah.
Man.
It was ahead of its time.
You guys were so ahead
It
of
was
your
ahead
time.
of its time at that time. Like hip hop wasn't ready for that.
And I want to give you flowers now because Onyx was way ahead of that time. Way ahead of that time. And thinking of that, and then coming to me to go, we're going to use the bar to cast it, was genius. And another thing is, there's a video called Throw Your Guns in the Air. And I'm in that video running down the hill, man. We were wearing snorkels back then, you know? And then they shot a video on Howard Beach with Biohazard, Slam, in the old pool.
Right.
And I was there too. I was Team Onyx, man, back then
Yeah.
because of Jam Master Jay and JMJ Records, and Eat 'em Up was their romance security, and they came through with the army fatigues. I even got a picture with Fred and Run, I think, when I'm wearing a blue army vest, the thinner ones. You know what I'm saying? So I even went on the road with them,
hell yeah.
man. So
how did you even get down with Run DMC? Let's just take it from what was the first sign of you getting down with Run DMC?
But those were great memories we just talked about.
Just
I can't
one.
really remember the lyrics
Just one.
though. Growing up in
crazy.
Queens, I grew up with Run and D and J. Russell's been my mentor. They call me the white Russell Simmons. But just living in Queens, and me and Marvin were really cool. Jay's brother, rest in peace. And I met Jay back then, and Jay was just cool with me.
Right.
And he fucked with me. And back then, we would try to get some phones to use, and back then they had those flip phones, and we would try to be the first ones to get them, even though the bills were a lot of money. And then, you know, me and Jay had a lot of things in common. He loved football. So we used to go to the New York Giants game. Shout out to my man Pepper Johnson.
Yeah, Pepper.
We used to love basketball, you know, shout out Mark Jackson and stuff, and go to Knicks games. And even back then, St. John's, Mark Jackson and Chris Mullin, Bill Winnington used to play for St. John's. And then Jay would let me come on the road with them, and, you know, even if it was in a van or whatever the case may be, I'll go on the road with them, carry bags, whatever it is, just to be around, hang around. Because I'm like, damn, yeah, they call me White Boy Steve, and I'm like, how do you make money doing this and stuff? But even on the 4th of July, man, Jay would call me. He's like, yo, we got to go see your Italian guys in Spaghetti Park in Corona and get fireworks and go back to Hollis and blow them up and let the kids see some nice shit. And, you know, through the good and bad, I was there with Jay, man. So,
that's dope, man.
You know, we were really friends, and obviously I got close to Run and D. And, you know, the rest was really history. I was hanging around Def Jam Records, Rush Management, Profile Records, because Run DMC was really signed to Profile Records. A lot of people don't know that.
Right.
DJ Quick was signed to Profile Records, too. You know, Run DMC was never signed to Def Jam Records.
That's
a
crazy.
lot of people don't know.
People don't understand that.
Right.
And
That's a fact.
and then, you know, and then like I said, like just meeting people, and I'll be in the clubs with Jay. Jay loved Moet, and we just be in the parties and stuff.
Jay definitely
hang
loved
out.
Moet, man.
Yeah,
Man,
go to
bud,
111 Barrow, his condo and stuff. There's the only guy I've ever met who had carpet on his walls. It was a condo. No one puts carpet on the walls.
He was.
He was
you
in
know,
Soho, yeah.
And that's why I keep his name alive, man. You know, and shout out his sons. We just dropped the Jam Master
Shout out to
J's,
Jesse and
the
the
pre-rolls on the
work.
cassette. But like I said,
Good
man, I
kids,
wouldn't
man.
be sitting here if it wasn't for Jam Master Jay, and I'm always keep his name alive.
Yeah, we had Jam
Right.
Master Jay's sons on the show, you know what I'm saying? And they was talking about the weed and the cassettes. Can you go into that with how your relationship with Jam Master Jay kids?
Yeah, so the crazy thing was the oldest son, Jitter, from a different mother, I watched him grow up because Jay would bring him to my bar and play pool and stuff. And I was close to him. And the other two kids are from another mom. And they were really young when Jay passed away.
Right.
And the only memory I have with them is we were in Disneyland in Orlando, and we're on a log waterfall coming down. I still got that picture. It was me, Eric Blam, Jay, and his three kids coming down this water log. And then, you know, he passed away. They were still young.
Right.
So we didn't have a relationship. And I would run across them a lot, but they were cold to me. You know what I mean? They weren't even warm. They were cold. And then one day, you know, Jesse, the youngest son, reached out to me, and he's like, you know, I need to talk to you. And he reached out to me, and we met. And he's like, yo, I just want to ask you a couple things about my dad and stories and stuff, because I've been watching you over the last 10 years. You're always saluting my dad and talking about him and keeping his name alive. So I needed to get to know you myself.
Yeah.
And we built a relationship organically, and that's what I love to do. And then he told me I got this Jam Master Jay concept with the cassettes.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, that's fucking genius.
Yeah.
Did you know that your pops loved smoking weed? And this is like genius. And he's like, man, I really want to put it in the cookie store. And I'm involved with the cookie store. I'm like, no problem. And we did the drop a few months ago, and they called Adidas. Adidas gave out shell toes. It made sense.
Who was there?
What fucking dispensary gives out shell toes on a drop, and then it gave out T-shirts, and you guys came to support.
Ferg was there, except Ferg.
Yeah, ASAP Ferg came through, and it was amazing. So now the Jam Master Jay pre-rolls are in a lot of our dispensaries, man. It's a genius idea. People love it, and we're gonna take it.
Yeah, the tape is
different
going
states.
crazy.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
go crazy when they see that cassette tape. They think
Yeah.
it's an actual cassette. Oh, there's some cool memorabilia.
Yeah, I was cool with Jay's mom, rest in peace, Connie Mazel. His sister Nita, rest in peace. His brother Marvin. And I told Jesse, I said, you know, I met your mom through Jay. Jay passed, so there's really no reason I need to deal with your mom. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I feel about things. If like you didn't meet someone through somebody, but if you met them through somebody and they passed, like in case they need something, if she ever needed something, I would do that. But we're not supposed to be best friends.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So integrity wise, and now it's family regardless. So,
you're behind. I was just sitting here thinking about it because it's messed up, you know. It's part of the game, but all the rest in pieces while you speak. You've been when you're in the game 30 years. That's a lot of people we lost in this industry. And I'm just sitting here thinking about everybody you work with. It's everybody I fuck with. If you think about it, Big Pun, Bone Thugs, Nipsey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it ain't me, like, you know, just so you don't feel like, damn, you got to curse on them. No, you know what I mean? Like,
no. I'm just saying, like, these are like major figures.
Jam Master
Jay.
Jam Master Jay, rest in peace. Look, man.
Right.
You know, he got killed in his own neighborhood, supposed by somebody knows, to be determined, and in his own hood helping people, right? You know, Big Pun used to drive around the country with me with Fat Joe in a van.
Yeah.
You know, and shout out Big Pun and his fam. They just gave him his own
Greatest.
sign up in the Bronx a
Yeah,
couple
shout
days
out
ago.
to Chris Rivers, man.
But
Good
you know,
kid.
I know Pun. You know,
Dope rapper,
when he
too.
was Joe's artist, and he wasn't even blowing up yet.
Right.
Big
And we would
Moondog.
go around the country in the van, and because Joe didn't fly, and Pun would be on the stage with him and rapping his shit. And a lot of people don't know this, but Pun's first real verse was on the Fleshbone album.
Yeah,
I gave him a feature on that. Eazy-E, rest in peace. You know, he put me with Bone Thugs,
dope
and
album,
that
by
made
the
me
way.
come to West Coast.
Easy put you a bone.
Eazy-E brought me to West Coast, and that's how I met Bone
Did you
Thugs and
meet?
Harmony.
Did you meet Easy through the Run DMC?
Yeah, no, I
connection?
met Eazy through working in Relativity Sony
Okay.
Yeah,
because
Relativity.
Ruthless Records was distributed through
That's
there.
right.
And that's how I met MC Ren and Bloods of Abraham and At Band Clan, which Will.i.am was in that group.
And Bone
Because-
Thugs
yeah.
and Fat Joe were on Relativity.
So now
Yeah,
you
and a lot of artists were on
So now you
Relativity.
starting to expand from New York to around the globe,
Yep.
not the globe, but around the nation.
Yeah.
But traveling with Run DMC, I got to meet different people in different states. So when I got to Relativity, I was working with Beatnuts, MOP, Frankie Cutlass, Fat Joe from the East.
Mhm.
Then the Midwest, it would be, because of Easy and Ruthless, Bone Thugs and Harmony, Dayton family from Flint. And then the Bay Area, Drew Down and Mac Mall. And then from the South, 3-6 Mafia, Project Pat.
Damn.
And then Suave House, shout out Tony Draper, 8-Ball MJG, Mr. Mike Teela, South Circle. So I was dealing with artists from all over the country
That was J People too.
when I got to
Tony Draper,
Relativity. And Relativity really was a powerhouse label with all those things.
Yeah, they had
And then
it, man.
you know, look, I mean Biggie, I did the Bone and Biggie, and he passed. Nipsey, you know, I worked with Nipsey and found Nipsey with Big U, he passed. But you know,
Yo, everybody
we could
was
talk
in,
all day long about
yeah,
people
but
who passed,
let's talk
man.
about that Bone and Biggie because, like, for the East Coast, I was a Bone fan. You know, I was a huge Bone fan, but it wasn't a thing in the East.
Let me break
No,
that
nah,
down.
it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Nah.
Now he's right. He's a little,
No.
he's a little bit of right.
Dog, until the Biggie thing.
But let me
happened.
break
Yeah,
it down
no,
while
for
you say that, right?
Yeah.
Because I would always tell Flex, like, yo, Flex, like, play these guys, man. And
Yeah.
a lot of DJs wouldn't play Bone.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm from New York, and I'm now living in LA, and I work with Bone, and we're selling out stadiums, and we got big records, but New York ain't showing love. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? And they had a unique style. And one day, you know, look,
That style everybody tries to do it now.
they're the only artist that ever recorded with Easy in the studio, Pac in the studio,
Biggie.
Mariah Carey in the studio, Biggie in the studio, Big Pun in the studio. Jam Master Jay mentored them after he died, after Easy died. But you know, and R.I.P. to Gaddafi and Fatal and Pac, because I managed the Outlaws for years. And shout out Edie and Napoleon and Noble and Castro. But it was funny, right? Because Puff calls me, Fat Joe calls me first and says, yo, Puff's gonna call you, Biggs in LA, he wants to do a song with Bone. And next thing you know, Puff calls, he's like, Biggs at the record plant, pull up. And we pull up like 40 deep, but at that time, it was 1995, Bone was popping, and they were all in their own little worlds, and I was like, yo, you gotta pull up, and they would just pull up one at a time. And Stevie J, that the younger generation knows from Love and Hip Hop, is one of the best producers of all time.
Life
Made
After
that beat.
Death, all of that.
You know,
stuff.
Hitman.
Stevie J made that beat?
Hitman, yeah. So
I didn't know that.
that song was done in
He's
an
in that
hour.
famous picture, word.
Yeah, that song was done in an hour. Those are all my pictures that float
Yeah.
around, and then New York got on.
Right.
Not saying the fans, 'cause
Yeah,
there was
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of fans in New York. 'Cause
It
when I
solidified it.
Lazy Bone
Yeah.
to New York, he walked the streets, be like, "Oh my God, Bone!" Like
Yeah.
seeing
Oh,
Michael
they was
Jackson.
top five.
But
They
it
were major.
solidified DJs
Yeah.
and industry people in New York to
Yeah.
understand Bone.
Right.
But meanwhile, Bone sold a lot of more records than a lot of people in New York.
Yeah.
Artist, and Fat Joe was really cool with Bone, and he ran around with them too to to get his shit going on certain things.
Yeah.
So and then the crazy thing, Mariah heard the record, and Mariah calls me one day and she's like,
Watch
"Yo,
the time with Bone.
I want Bone on a record," and Stevie J did that record.
Yup.
Man.
Breakdown,
Yup.
break down.
Instead of breaking
Yup.
on down.
Yeah.
So-
So
My joint.
So you
Oh,
took
that's-
Bone
yeah.
Thugs way around the world?
I mean, I'll be honest with you, everything I do in life, I feel it's God.
Right.
Easy discovered them. He passed. They didn't really know no one, and I rocked with them. And I had my blinders on just to work with them because there's 5 members of them. But Flesh was in jail. To be honest with you, that's like 5 Jay-Z's in a group, bro. When you're managing a group and you know it's Onyx, there's the 4 of you.
A lot of egos.
I feel bad for the road manager. The road
Oh.
manager, everybody's got egos or emotions, got their own crews and posses.
Right.
Yeah.
And Bone, they all had their own bus with like 40 of their homies, and
Think about it.
I'm
Bone's
controlling
still together.
I'm controlling 100 guys, you know, on tours and making sure everybody's on the bus and no one gets left. So and I helped Crazy Bone with his solo album and their record company Mo Thugs, and
Run was
we
on
had a
the
great
Flesh
journey,
album,
man.
too.
Yeah,
Run was
Run.
on
I
the
put
Flesh
Run on the
album,
Flesh
too.
Bone album, and We
I want
you know,
you to
we
clear
won
up
some
a rumor
Grammys
real
together.
quick.
You know.
It's not
He's
a
the
rumor.
biggest Bone. He might have been at a couple of those shows. He had to be.
Yeah, I've seen
We
him
won
at
a
the
Grammy.
show.
You seen him at a show at the front
Yeah,
like
we-
this?
We won a Grammy. We won a Grammy for Crossroads, right?
Backstage on me.
We won a Grammy for Crossroads. We won a Grammy with Crazy Bone with Chameleonaire, Riding Dirty. Shout out Playing Skills,
Yeah.
those producers that I had discovered. And we won a Grammy for Riding Dirty. But
Yeah.
what were you about to say? What room were you
No.
in?
The I want to go back to the Biggie Bone Thugs, the session. That's a legendary session.
Yeah.
There was 40 people there. You seen the pictures. Everybody was there. All the Mo Thug, Biggie's people, Junior Mob. Everybody
Must have been a
was
lot
in
of
there.
weed in that studio.
So
session.
that's what they said. That's what I want to talk about.
A lot of weed.
Busy was saying, yo, they had, I don't know what Biggie thought about us, but he had the most butter I ever seen for a session.
Yeah, so
and
let me
Hennessy
break
that
the
I ever
vision
seen.
down for you, right?
Yeah.
Busy really ran around with nobody back then.
Mhm.
So he finally pulled up by himself
Mhm.
with a security, animal's name is security. And he came and knocked this shit out in 20 minutes.
Mhm.
Crazy Bone hangs with nobody, so he came by himself.
Not even security.
Yeah, Flesh was there, and he came by himself. Wishbone, who was really cool with Big, was in Cleveland, so he didn't make it.
Mhm.
And then Lazy Bone, he loves hanging out with the homies and the crew, and he
Yeah.
brought all the Mo Thugs with him. So
That's the part of the
why it was
story I
so
wanted to
deep.
talk about, though.
And then Little
Lazy
C's
Lazy.
was there
Yeah.
with Big, and definitely was Big had a lot of weed, Hennessy, and Doritos. It's in the picture.
so
Dude,
the
yeah.
record's being done, like he said. Busy goes right, does the first verse because Biggie ain't lay his verse
Do you
down.
know Do you know all the lyrics to that song?
To that song, probably. You want to go?
No, it's like we
Yo,
gotta
he
study
know,
right here.
I'm telling you, he's the biggest Bone
Nah,
Thug
nah,
fan
shit.
ever.
No, don't
So
trust him.
so check
Don't
this out. So Busy does the first verse. Then Crazy goes. The story is Lazy, since he went third, started hitting the bottle. They woke him up like, yo, knock your verse out. He's like, all right, boom. Goes into the booth, one take, ins and outs, boom, he's done. And then Biggie was like, I ain't doing my verse today.
Well, nah, I mean,
Or like
there
he had another
There
verse.
was a lot of Hennessy in there.
Yeah.
And Bone, you know, loved drinking Hennessy. Like a lot of people like to drink Hennessy, and
I still
as
do.
they get older, they don't because that shit will kill you.
Yeah.
You know, they just all knocked out their verses so quick. Big was just stunned.
Yeah.
And he didn't do his verse in California. He went back to New York, wanted to study it and really master the flow.
Master the flow,
But
word.
he passed away, and we didn't hear the record until he
Until it came
passed and it came out. And I ran into Puff and I said, Puff, what was the deal? And I asked C's, and he said he went back to New York and he laid his verse back there, and it took him some time to really master it. And he killed it.
So there wasn't an original verse. That was a
That
record.
nigga,
He ever did?
Yo, Bone
Yeah.
Thugs had that nigga big like.
He
wait
never
a
went.
minute,
In,
hold
he
up.
never
Okay.
went. He never went into the booth.
Right.
Got you.
Because he was like, yo, like rock, and the guys were anxious to rock. They
And
wanted to
it's
get
a
in the
whole
booth.
different style. And
When
that's why
someone-
Biggie's
when
like,
it's-
felt he was the
But
greatest.
I'm sure they
record.
but I'm sure they wanted him to see him do his verse
Yeah.
too though.
Oh,
Fuck
yeah,
that. If
I know
I'm doing my
that's-
verse, I want you to do your
Yeah.
verse too.
But
See, if it's a Fredro record and he brings in some guests, he's gonna say rock first.
Right,
Mhm.
yeah.
So Big was like, yo, rock first. And,
Right.
and Busy took the initiative, like, yo, I'm gonna set this off.
Mhm.
So when they were done, they really didn't hang out. They just gone. They were just like, we did this and we're out.
Right.
And then we left, you know?
Yeah.
And then if he
That's
did it
one
or
of
not, he
Big's
did do
most-
it though. He did it
that
in
verse
New
right there is
York,
crazy.
but I never seen him touch the booth, you know?
Right,
And this,
yeah.
I'm gonna tell you right now, there's a guy named Brian Perry that he knows really well.
Mhm.
He was there with cameras filming that. I
Brian
still don't know
Perry
where-
had all
Where
that
that
shit?
footage at?
I don't know where that footage is.
Brian's a
Oh,
fucking bit. Yo, Brian, where the
that's
footage
history.
at, motherfucker?
Brian got the footage, or someone he knew he hired to film. Or
Where's
Puff's got
Brian?
it. But that footage is somewhere from that studio session.
Yeah.
I got the pictures. Shout out to Arnold Turner. I got the pictures.
So you were rocking with Bone for a while, and then for a while you weren't,
No, I've been rocking with Bone for 20 years, man, since
because
'93.
they've been touring all over.
Yeah,
lately.
I've been rocking with Bone since '93, since Easy introduced me to him. And I don't know if you know Straight Outta Compton movie, when Ice Cube ran into Easy, I was there with two of the members of Bone when he ran to Easy.
That was
Easy
in,
ran to Ice Cube and Straight Outta Compton at the
Tunnel?
tunnel.
In the
At the
tunnel.
tunnel, legendary tunnel.
That was in
and
the
they had
movie?
beef.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
but
in
they
the
didn't
movie.
show me and Bone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But Easy says, yeah, I'm here with Bone.
They only put the Bone tape in the movie.
Exactly,
like, yo, they
but
done
he
with
did
it.
say when he ran the Cube, he's like, I'm here with Bone. And we went to the tunnel, and then Easy wanted to walk back to the hotel, and it was kind of chilly. He was wearing a flannel,
Yeah.
and then he got pneumonia.
You
supposedly,
had
never seen him
Easy in
again.
the tunnel?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we ran into Cube. He says it in Straight Outta
Crazy.
Compton. They just didn't show us, and I think I was there with two of the members of Bone, and two of them stayed at the hotel that night. It was cold. It was winter. Easy had his two Samoan bodyguards, the twins, and he walked back to the hotel. He said,
Yeah.
I mean, he said, I'm going to walk back to the hotel, and he had a flannel on. Suppose he got pneumonia. It was
Yeah.
really cold that
They
day.
wanted to walk.
But I had him in the tunnel, and I've been rocking with Bone a long time. Like, people people think like, oh, we have this and that. Every brothership has communication or trials and tribulations, but
No, I
there's
mean it
so
like
many
that.
of them.
Like,
There's 5 of them, so certain times they do different things. I'm not involved, but it always comes back to Uncle Steve. They look at me as or Lopez because like they respect me. Yeah. And no manager's been with a group that long. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And because it's loyalty and integrity and principles and morals, and we've been through a lot of shit. Yeah. So I consider them my family and my brothers.
Did you know Crossroads was a remix? The one you heard?
Yep.
The original one? The one we saw the video for was a remix?
Yep.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So what we're sitting here right now is the first of its own kind. And I'm honored and humbled that you guys are the first to do a podcast here and interview. So like we virginizing it, right?
Hello.
And I interviewed him a long time ago, 7-8 years ago with my podcast live with Steve Lobel. So way ahead of my time. But in here is a recording studio where we're sitting. And the stuff on the walls is stuff that I curated for like 30 years in my dad's house in Queens, not knowing that I would ever use it. So there's a full-blown recording studio. As you can see, all the great equipment from KRK to Slate. And we'll show you the vocal booth later because Fredro's going to lay a verse. And when you go out, there's a hip-hop museum. And we curated, again, a lot of, I call them tchotchkes, things that I saved throughout the years. Because back then, and Fredro can, talk about this as well, is that we had a lot of promo items, from promo t-shirts to stickers to keychains to water bottles to so many different things. I have the first original Def Jam invite for a Christmas party from 1994. And you would think a weed jar, but back then it wasn't weed in there. So that's a museum. We have a stage out there where we're going to have DJs. We have a Death Row Records chair. And then it goes into the dispensary, and it's a full-blown dispensary. And in the dispensary, you get to see the cultivation. And then upstairs, we have a 400-lighter cultivation. And we came up with this concept because we want to do something different. I got involved with the cannabis business 4 years ago with Burner, with his cookies brand. And he owns Cookies and Lemonade. And the reason why we call this place Lemonade, powered by Weed Working, because I'm powering it, but the brand is the brand. And we have a Cookies Will and Hill store, which is 20 minutes away, so we want to compete. So Cookies only getting bigger around the world.
So you're competing with yourself.
Yeah, we're doing something big in Puerto Rico. And Cookies is opening up in a lot of states around the country and the world. So
Cookies got the best fucking weed. I go in there.
And Lemonade does too. It's the same thing. It's just two different retail type of.
So basically, y'all got Coca-Cola and Pepsi.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Ooh, exactly.
Y'all take y'all pick.
That's a great analogy.
We own both of them.
It's a great. You know what's so crazy, bro? Remind me, somebody. I have original, at least 2 or 3 different types of Onyx promo T-shirts from the 90s. When you guys came out in the 90s, that are not even fucked up on the neck, brand new. Because when we go out there, you'll see I saved a lot of promo T-shirts, but I couldn't put a lot out. But I'm gonna pull these out the box for him.
American
and you're gonna go crazy when I pull out these Onyx T-shirts.
I don't even have that shit.
I
don't even have that shit.
I found a Bone Thugs and Harmony Art of War tour from 1996 tour shirt, and my merch guy says it's worth $4,000. So see what he says doesn't have this stuff. Most of the time, artists they never wanted to save nothing.
Right.
They're like, I don't give a fuck.
Exactly.
Me, I kept everything. And just stored it and stored it and stored it.
You got awards tickets. You got not even like.
Wait till you see what I have out there. And I have so much more.
Yo, you know
I can't
what?
Put it out.
You know Burt Bedell.
Of course.
Burt Bedell. Rest in peace to Burt Bedell.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Yo, he had so much memorabilia. It's crazy. You like the next generation of Burt Bedell.
Yeah, but you know what? You're right. I have so much stuff stored, and now that we're gonna open, people are hitting me because they see the video online. They're like, "Yo, I want to donate stuff for you and this and that." But I made sure I filled up everything. That there is no room. But I'm going to take this concept and open in different states when cannabis goes legal in New York.
He going to bring you that yellow jacket from Sunset Park.
I'm still looking for that jacket.
Well, I thought I was going to have a surprise today, I guess.
Yeah.
Yo, I didn't have it.
I told him.
I'm going to keep it real. All the shit that I have, my mom's got it in New York.
That's what happens. It's either in storage or you don't know where it's at. Or
Yeah.
No one hoarded or kept the shit like me.
Yeah.
But, Estefan came by, this photographer, Mr. Cartoon, LA Originals.
Yeah.
And he's like, damn, man, I'm going to go back in my garage now because I got a lot of House of Pain and Cypress Hill stuff in my garage that's just sitting in boxes.
But but Steve.
So and that's why this is the first of its kind. And again, I don't really smoke. It's funny he brought up my man Yas, rest in peace, because Yas would give him a lot of weed back in the 90s or late 80s. Shit,
this was 90, 91.
Okay, and now I'm in the cannabis business, and you know everybody I know and I grew up with smokes weed, but it's legal out here. I don't smoke. I'll front for the gram if I'm with Snoop or be real. People, that's
I see you on stage.
Yeah, people are dreams.
When Snoop gave you the blood on stage.
People are dream to smoke with Snoop. I got people come like, yo, I got 10 grand to smoke with Snoop.
Right.
So now I'm in the cannabis business and I'm learning a lot. And
like that, you know that.
we didn't know what we were gonna call this place. We were gonna put a big boombox in the front.
Yeah.
I
And we were
saw
just
that.
coming
You
out
showed us
different
the
names.
whole picture of the sketch
different
and all
names,
that.
and we were just gonna have this place as the rappers' home for their product. But I didn't come up with a cool name, and then Burner one day was like, yo, call Legendary Lobels. I'm like, I'm not in the weed game like that.
Right.
And he's like, you know what, let's call it Lemonade by Weed Working.
Hello.
Which is priceless because I'm branding my shit under his shit. That's like Cookies Weed Working. So I have Weed Working as me, but I'm really Steve Lobel. People just know from Instagram. Then I got my Weed Working University, which is my online college, and then I got Weed Working, which I'm going to be giving artists their own strains and products.
What artists you got so far? I think
Okay, so we put YG out.
Okay.
We putting out Dave East.
Yeah, I seen Dave East.
And by the time his interview comes, it'll be dropping between us. We're dropping it Friday. Dave will be here. It's called East Coast. We've been dropping a lot of teasers. It was my idea to like show the content. Dave was like, wow, because no one showed the process.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
He said he got the best weed out, right? That's what he said.
And then we have a lot of things that I can't talk about that are in the works. But my Weed Working that's what my concept was, to do either you guys have your own product, right? You have CBD, you have THC, whatever you have.
Yeah.
My thing is to say to you guys, hey, come here. We'll put the product in here and do an in-store. So that's one way of cultivating something. The other way is we'll cultivate the flower and take it from the start to the finish and do some stuff with artists.
Right.
While
And
we're
that's the
speaking about
concept here.
flower,
That's the
I want to
concept here.
shout out Elion Cannabis, our proud sponsors, man. Much
No
love to
doubt.
Elion Cannabis.
Appreciate
You
the
see them
package, the
flying merch.
hoodies, the bucket hats. I love the bucket hat because in the museum I got an EPMD original bucket hat that Eric and Paris signed that Def Jam made only 100 for promo, and I kept one. It's a little dirty, but I still kept it. I used to love
That's
wearing
that
it.
good
Couple
dirt.
clean ones,
That's that
though.
good
Yeah,
dirt.
you got
Love
some new
wearing
clean ones though.
So,
but,
you know.
Yeah, that's
But
what's up.
so this is Rappers and Ballers. So obviously we mix in the sports. So
You mentioned that you and Jay y'all used to go to the Giants games and shit. So who you rock?
I need to know this shit, bro. Are you Giants or Jets?
Giants.
Big time, even from Queens.
Everybody's Giants.
And I
No,
know-
Queens is Jets.
I know we
heavy.
suck.
You
I
do
know
Jets?
we suck.
Oh,
Yeah.
Giants.
Where you from? Oh. I know we suck.
Damn, son.
The Giants? Jets or Giants?
Giants.
So I know the Giants
I'm a
suck.
Giants
Last season we had a chance.
Yeah.
Almost. But I'm a big football fan.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't notice about me, but every football game, someone has to sing the national anthem.
Mm-hmm.
If it's on TV or not.
Yes.
So me and my partner GT, we bring those singers to sing the national anthem.
That's why you always at the
That's why
football
I'm at the
games?
games all the time, and I'm on the field.
I
because
see
I
that.
cracked the
Hey,
code.
You gotta get down there with Birdie.
I
and-
cracked the code. I'm
And
wondering
it don't
why
have to
is
be
this
a
guy on
Super
the
Bowl or a
sideline?
playoff game. Every game
Right.
has to have someone sing the national anthem.
But you be at
So
random
we
games.
can bring a kid that just knows how to sing, and we bring him to the game. I don't go to all the games, but I pile up to ones that I need to go to. I want to be at because I love football so much, and standing on that fucking field gives me
Yeah.
that fucking high.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love going in the locker rooms and I love football, man.
That's what's
Yeah.
up, man.
So football's your sport.
Football's my sport. I don't care who the team is, but my favorite team is the Giants.
Giants.
Yeah. Because you're at every game.
Yep. I collected.
Alright.
It's crunny, right? Because a lot of people collect jerseys. I collected football helmets.
Yeah, I seen that.
I got every team football helmet,
Regulation size though, right?
The
only
official-
from
Yeah.
players and coaches.
Players, yeah,
Official.
And I
regulation.
collected from every player that I know on a team.
So they gave you the helmet.
Yes, their helmet signed it to me, and sometimes then someone would call me like, "Yo, I got this." I already got it. I don't want doubles, you know.
yeah.
But that was just a goal to me, and I did it in 2 years, and I felt it was really good because I didn't
That's
buy them.
dope.
And shout out to Deshaun Jackson who just came to the Rams. He gave me Washington Redskins, Philadelphia Eagles, and Tampa Bay Bucks, and he played for those teams.
Wow.
And then Coach Rivera gave me Carolina Panthers. You know, Randall Cobb gave me Green Bay.
Crazy.
I just, I
you
got
don't want
helmets.
doubles even if they change the helmet? What
Nah, I
is
mean,
it?
they call and ask me if I
They
want
change
it, but I
the
have no room. So that's
Damn.
in my house. I just love looking at football helmets that are all real and given to me by players
We
that
need
I
to do
know.
a podcast in the
That's-
football
that's
room. We need to
crazy.
do one in your
That's
memorabilia
crazy.
room.
So
You know
I,
what I mean?
I didn't want to collect jerseys. I wanted to collect helmets. It's nothing better than a real football helmet sign.
Exactly.
Right. That's ill.
Knicks.
Yeah, I'm a big basketball fan as well. I love the Knicks. We suck. We're getting a little better.
Nah, we don't suck that
They're
bad.
getting
though.
better.
We
We're getting better. I don't ride the wave. I mean, I go to Brooklyn Nets because they're hot.
Right.
I'm a Knicks fan. Back from Patrick Ewing's and
he just got violated.
Mark Jackson.
Oh,
So
yeah,
we can go back, but I'm a Knicks fan.
Yeah.
I love basketball.
Yankees or Mets?
Mets.
See, he went Mets because he's Queens.
My dad loves the
yep.
Yankees only because the Brooklyn Dodgers and then Yankees.
Let's shout out OG Ted. Can we
shout out my dad, OG Ted, 88
Yeah,
years old, swims 30 laps. No one in this room could do 30 laps.
I can't do one lap.
Yeah.
I can't.
So I'm a Knicks, I'm a Mets. Whenever I'm in New York, I go to Citi Field because I have some relationships over there, so I go to the Mets games. But I do know a lot of baseball players. I want to shout out my man Gio Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Gio Gonzalez, now he's at the Marlins, but he's one of the best pitchers. He played for Nationals for a while, and then he went over to Milwaukee. It's funny with Gio. I introduced him to a guy over at Jordan. He sent him some cleats. Gio was down with Nike, but he was such a Jordan fan, and it caused some problems. And then he lost his contract with Nike. He didn't care. He wanted to rock with Jordan, So, shout out Gio. I know a lot of baseball players, basketball players.
In every,
You do boxing at all? You mess with boxing?
I love boxing, but it's not my favorite thing. I want to shout out my man Sam Watson, the OG, and Al Heyman.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Big West. And shout out Brendan and Marcus,
Rest in peace, marvelous Marvin Hagler, who just passed away.
I like boxing. I just was with Mike Tyson recently. We were reminiscing about how I met him through Jam Master Jay and showed him some throwback pictures of me wearing Sergio Tacchini. Shout out Sergio Tacchini.
I don't smoke like you, but when we was with Mike,
Mike smokes.
Mike smokes.
I had to smoke with Mike.
But he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Shout out, Danny Garcia. Shout out Floyd. I'm not the biggest boxing fan, but I'm always invited, so I'll go. But my biggest sports is football, baseball, and basketball, and hockey.
So you've been to some Super Bowls too?
Yeah, I've been to a lot of Super Bowls. I go to a lot of
you went to Phoenix
Pro Bowls.
Giants one?
Yep.
Nice.
I like to go to Pro Bowls, even though it changed from Hawaii. I just love football, man. Being on that field or even being on the stand is great. Going into people's suites that I know. And I go to the Islanders games a lot. I love hockey too as well. Yeah, so
got that beautiful.
I'm a sports guy, man. You know what's so crazy, man? When you get caught up working so hard, you never know really what your happiness is.
Yeah.
And I found out the last 5 years my real happiness was watching sports or going to a game.
Yeah.
And that's what made me happy.
That's why we fuck with sports, man. It's just a good getaway. You know what I mean? Smoke some weed, watch the fucking Lakers. You know what I mean?
Ain't nothing better, man. I be inviting you to games. You don't fuck with no games.
I like to watch it on television.
At home.
I got two fucking kids.
I'm an experienced dude.
Some games you want to watch at home.
Yeah.
Some sports you want to go to. I feel like baseball you can watch either way.
Yeah.
Football you got to be there.
Yeah.
Basketball either way.
Yeah.
And hockey you want to be there because you want to see them fucking beat each other up.
Yeah. I'm like that with boxing. I want to be there. People are like, yo, the best seat is at the crib. I said I can watch it on TV later. You can't go back and watch.
Boxing,
there live.
you want to be there live.
But I like boxing at the crib so I can see the rewind, so they can rewind it.
But I watch it at the crib when I get back. You know what I'm saying?
I like that. I
love to watch. I love to be there.
Right. Yeah. But
I want to be there real time.
Throughout my career, I've known so many ball players. Basketball, football, baseball, and I still stay in touch with some, like I said, Pepper Johnson, dear friend, Gio Gonzalez, Lamar Odom, Al Harrington, Allen Iverson. I could just name drop all day long, but, again, my relationship with Jam Master, he loved basketball, he loved football, so we would go to a lot of games.
Motherfuckers used to play video games all fucking day and shit. You know what I'm saying? Madden. We used to play Madden with Jay all fucking night, bro.
That was my shit.
This nigga.
You know what it is? Like, a lot of ballers right now, and for decades, they want to be rappers.
Yeah.
And a lot of ballers, try to be thugs too and gangsters when they're not that. And they need to just be the ball player. You know what I'm saying? And I want to shout out my man Jason Hart, man, from Syracuse.
Yep.
And then he went and played for like a lot of teams, and now he's the assistant coach at USC. He's a good friend of mine. And I hope USC goes well. Shout out my man Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony's another friend of mine. But
doing it. Still doing it.
A lot of ball players,
Carmelo,
they want to be someone they're not. Ball players need to stay ball players. A lot of these ball players want to become rappers, and they spend millions of dollars on their career, and they can't really rap. I'm gonna keep it real with you. The best athlete who's a great rapper is my man Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard, and we just work with him with Scott Storch. Damon is really a ball player.
He's a real rapper.
And he loves Adidas too.
I'm glad you brought up Scott Storch because I want to talk about the rehab center.
Okay.
Please get into that, how that came about.
So shout out to all the athletes who are staying focused, staying healthy, staying positive, not trying to be a thug or a gangster or a rapper.
Let the
stay in
rappers
your
be
lane.
rappers, man.
Stay in your lane. And and I want to say this, like, when we were bringing Nip up, there were so many athletes that looked up to Nip before Nip was even big. They just was like, yo, they idolized him. But with Scott Storch, right, it's funny because when I interviewed Fredro for my Live with Steve Lobel interview series, I interviewed a lot of people from J. Cole to Fredro to Afrojack to DJ Mustard.
And
this goes on. And
2012. This is before
2012,
podcasts even
2013.
existed. People, seriously.
I interviewed Scott Storch. And, you know, I knew Scott from the past. I never did business with him, never hired him to produce for any more artists. I knew him from the past. But I didn't know him. I would see him, I'm like, yo, who's this fucking cocky white boy? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm white boy Steve, they call me, and I'm from the hood. And I'm
gonna be one cocky white boy in this motherfucker.
So I'm like, no, I was like, you know, from the outside, I'm like, yo, this guy got big diamonds on, all types of stuff.
Yeah,
I didn't know him, so I can't judge, but I was like, yo, this guy, whoever he is. So we never had a relationship. And one day I wind up at his house in Holland with my man Dirty, and this guy comes down in this robe, and he's coked up, and he's trying to sell us beats for some money, and he takes us for pizza, and I was like, yo, I'm cool, and then I never saw him again. That was my only first time ever hanging out with him, meeting him, and he came down in a long robe, and he was hot. Fast forward years later, when I'm doing my Live with Steve Lobel, my man Raul from Terror Squad, because everybody knows I'm really tight with Fat Joe, I introduced him to his wife, who's from Queens, Lorena. I hit him, I said, bro, I see you with Scott. I need to go over there and interview Scott. He's like, I got you. So he sends me to an address. When I get there, he's not there. I'm like, this is weird. So I knock on the door, Scott's sitting in the backyard by himself. I hit Raul, he's like, I had to leave. So I'm like, cool. So I interviewed Scott. And it was a great interview just basing off of just what he's done, you know, and I didn't dig deep into it because I really didn't know his real story. And I had him sign my Chameleonaire plaque because he produced on that record. See, one thing about me, I have a whole pyramid of plaques, and that's why I got Fred to sign it. I want everybody who signed the plaques I was involved with. So he signed the plaque, and after the interview, he was like, hey, man, in the same sentence, though, you want to manage me, and you got Dr. Dre's number. So I'm from Queens. I'll never forget where I come from, and I'm a street dude and smart. I'm like, oh, he wants to get Dr. Dre's number from me, but he's throwing that management thing in there. Can't outsmart me. So I was like, I don't know if I want to manage you, and I don't got Dr. Dre's number, even though I had it. But I didn't know all this history. He burnt Dr. Dre when he was drugged up, whatever. So the next day I called him like, yo, bro, I'll manage you. But before I did that, I called his old manager because I have integrity. And I said, such and such, I'm going to manage this guy. He's like, good luck, and hung up on me.
Oh, shit.
So I was like, cool, you can hang up on me. I saw him 2 years later at the Knicks game. He just said, salute, Steve, what you did, no one could do. So I started working with Scott. In the first year, I'm thinking, oh, I got Scott Storch. It's easy. He produced every major record for everybody. He made everybody rich, every executive.
So you never met him through the lean back thing?
No, nope.
And a lot of people don't know the stuff he's talking about with Dre. That Chronic 2001 got Scott Storch all over that. Like,
so I never knew him, didn't know his history, really didn't. So it was organically interviewing him, and they asked for the number. So the next day I said, I'll manage you. So the first thing that I did, right, because, you know, he's stuck in his ways and he's stubborn, he's Sagittarius like me. First thing I said to him was like, oh, and then I met his girl, his ex-girl now, and I'm like, oh, shit, and she's like all over the place. But I was like, oh, I got to deal with this too. I'm used to it because as a manager, you're a high-paid babysitter, you're a psychiatrist, a therapist, a loan shark. So I got to deal with people's, you know, surroundings, right? So I said I'll start to work with him. And the first couple of months was really hard. Everybody I called, because I have a lot of relationships, like, nah, we're cool, Steve. You know, this guy jerked us, he was coked up, took our money and stuff. I'm like, wow, this is not going to be easy. So then I said to him one day, I said, yo, Scott, I do a lot of speaking at the Phoenix House, which is a drug rehab centers for juveniles. And they come from jail. And I bring white tees and socks and underwear, and I bring rappers to speak. And we have put a studio in there. It's in Silmar. It's crazy, and we need to talk about now. I own a treatment center with Scott, with a fucking studio in there. So I said, bro, I'm doing this thing. I would like for you to come speak to these kids. He's like, man, I don't do that type of stuff. I'm like, bro, like, I got to know you and know your story. You were addicted to drugs. Like, you should come speak. And he was like,
so this is after he stopped?
No, he's clean now. When I meet him after my podcast thing, he's smoking weed and he got clean.
Okay, yeah, the weed
he's clean, he got rid of coke, the weed saved him. And now we have a treatment center using cannabis. But I bring him to the treatment, I bring him to the Phoenix House to speak. And he speaks to these kids. And they from 13 to 18, they tough kids, Latin, black, white kids that come from juvie. And he wrote all these kids a little private note.
Whoa.
I was like, wow, that's nice of him. And I got one of them, and I put it next to the MPC he gave me.
Yo,
right? I saved it. So you'll see it later, right? So we start working, and the first year was rough, man. No one wanted to fuck with me. And my motto, with all due respect to everybody, was I didn't want him to work with no one he's worked with before and legends.
Right.
My motto was, I'm going to have you work with all the young kids. But then I got to find out who the young kids are. So one day I was at lunch, and Wack 100 was at lunch. And I said to him, yo, Wack, imagine Scott, man, you could bring Chuck over. We called Game Chuck. He's like, bro, we already tried that. And, you know, we went down to Miami with Scott. Wasted time. Like, do this for me, please. And Chuck came the next day. And Jeremiah pulled up, and we made that song, All Eyes, for E1.
Right.
And Alan called and said, oh, my God, you gave us a radio hit. Thank you, Steve. And I told Scott, we're going to tag the song with your name that he's never done before.
Yeah.
Fat Joe shouted out, Scott Storch. He's like, why? I said, bro, because you haven't been in the game 10 years. You were down, dirty, undercover, fucked up.
Right.
And now you got a big record.
Marketing.
We need to do that. So he was like, all right. So the record comes on, Scott Storch. And it's All Eyes with Jeremiah and Game. And it blows up, and the radio stations are playing it. And now you got a little traction. But still no one's trying to work with him. So I always keep young people around me, and I always keep my ear to the street, and I start finding out what's hot. And I see New York's back on the rise coming up, and someone's like, yo, this kid named A Boogie and Don Q and PNB Rocks, even though P's from Philly, they're in LA and they hot. So I called someone that knew them, and they were looking to do a video, and I was like, yo, I got a Rolls Royce and a nice house. So they pulled up to shoot the video, and Scott's like, yo, what are you doing? I'm like, yo, go in the studio with those three and just make records, shut the fuck up, and I'm a babysit them. But now I got a young boys from the Bronx there, and I don't know them, and they could, you know, they could act rah-rah, they don't know me. So I FaceTime my man Percy from Highbridge, from Terror Squad, and he's like, oh shit, and he knows Boog and all. I'm like, yo, you with the OG, man, yo, y'all be cool in that house. So then they shot the video, Scott jumped in the video, and then those records that Scott did with A Boogie and Don Q and PB Rocks blew up. And they started going platinum and gold, so he looked like the genius. Then my man Keita Rock from 60s, who was down with Death Row, was the only one with the Death Row tattoo. He's from Rolling 60s, he's doing life in Arizona. Hopefully he's coming home. His son, Kiefer, calls me and says, Unc, I got this little kid named Roddy Rich, can we work with Scott? I'm like, bring him over. And he wasn't really known yet. We did Roddy Rich down below. And then, you know, just started, my motto was just bringing all the young kids that are coming up, that are signed on labels. And then, you know, we got the Russ records, we got the Trippie Redd records, the Roddy Rich records, the this record, the that record. Even before 6ix9ine did all this stupid shit, Scott gave his biggest hits. So we worked with all the young kids, and that was the motto. And that's when I brought him back throughout the last 4 years. And now the phone's ringing. And then we did Chloe and Haley for Beyonce to do a record, which we were just nominated for a Grammy. And all the shit. And now the phones just keep ringing. And then I was like, I had to diversify his mentality. So we have our own speaker line coming out. I'm like, Scott, let's do a sunglass line. So we have sunglass come on. Things that you would think he should done, no one did it with him. So I was just diversifying his portfolio, doing things for his legacy and his children's future. So we're doing a bunch of different things. We did a little mini doc. Now we're doing a movie. He's like, damn, like, you know how to really maximize. And then, over the 4 years, I'm with him 5 years now, I'm really getting on this whole story of drugs and this and that. And I really didn't know nothing about him. So a partner I grew up with owns treatment centers and rehab centers around the country. You know, he helps a lot of people. He's been in the business for 13 years doing it. When you're in the business that long, you do good. It's a big business, saving lives. It's called Royal Life. And they're in Arizona, Washington, Florida, Indiana. So I said to him one day, I said, yo, you want to open a treatment center in LA using cannabis? He's like, cannabis, bro, that's off limits for what we do. Like in our business, people look at us crazy, but you know what? I like game-changing shit, you know? I said, let's do it with DMX.
That was
so my man Frank, not from the bar days, another Frank that had restaurants I used to work in. He's like, who's DMX? He's really not into, you know, music and stuff. Just straight business. And he's like, who's DMX? And I told him, I said, you know what, man, it could be a liability. So I said, I got this guy named Scott Storch. He lost $100 million on coke. He smokes weed. We could bring him in. So I sent him a little doc that I did with Scott. He watched it. He's like, yo, this is an amazing story. Let's meet with him. And we fucking opened a treatment center called the Heavenly Center, abbreviation for THC in Studio City, using cannabis. Drake called Scott and told Scott, yo, Steve's a genius for your story and for what you've been through to own a treatment center. You know, rappers do a clothing line of this and that, but a treatment center. And the crazy thing is I reconnected him with Dr. Dre after 2 years. I said, I got the number here. And, he asked me for the number. And him and Dre became friends. Him and Dre became friends. And we opened a treatment center. And it's funny, I just recently ran into DMX. and he came by the treatment center just to say hello.
I saw that.
And
Yeah.
he met my dad, he met my partner, and he saw Scott, and he was like, you know, I was supposed to do this with Steve, right? He was kidding around. You know?
Yeah.
So shout out X.
But,
One day
but
X will do
that's
one with
ill.
you, man.
The treatment center ain't a regular treatment center. You have like different rooms and
Yeah,
different things like
and it's
that.
crazy because I used to go to a treatment center to speak and bring rappers,
Right.
and have a studio in there. Now, our studio, the Heavenly Center, where we're saving a lot of lives, we've been in this about a year.
Yeah.
We have hyperbaric chamber spas. We have
Get your body
saunas.
right.
We have foot massages.
Hello.
We have yoga. We have dance. We have art. We have sober studios. We have Cali Sober, where we bring people through addiction to come speak after they're clean. We just had a couple of legendary managers come speak that are clean now. It's a 12-week program. We have housing for them. It's not open to the public, and we have, like I said, sober studios. We have so many different things that you don't want to leave, bro. You get a massage. You go into hyperbaric chamber. You can go into this saunas, and the people that work there is great. We do group therapy, one-on-one therapy. We help people get jobs, caseworkers, and when they graduate, we make them put paint on their hands after 12 weeks. They run up these stairs and they splash the wall and they sign it, and they're moving on to a better part of their life.
Oh,
And
dope.
a lot of guys that have been with us, they're like, man, I've been through 7 treatment centers, and they said this is the best one.
Yeah.
And they're sober right now.
Now, if someone
Dope.
wants to reach out, God bless. And now, if someone wants to reach out and be a
It's
part
the
of
Heavenly
how
Center
do they do
official
it?
on Instagram. But it's the Heavenly Center in Studio City. Our motto is to take this around the country, where places are green, and open up treatment centers using cannabis.
Yeah.
We don't give you cannabis. We don't sell you cannabis. We just educate you on cannabis. And you're like, oh, I'm checking the Heavenly Center, getting high all day. You get to smoke after 9 o'clock, after you finish with your work, your therapy or this and that. It's a real job.
Right.
Yeah.
And we run a tight ship. We have housing. We have everything. So it's
So-
like,
That's
I
beautiful,
can't
brother.
believe that I own a treatment center. It's so weird,
That's
but
beautiful,
that's
brother.
God, man.
And
then
you're
bringing Scott.
using weed.
That's
Yeah, and then bringing Scott because no one's
Saving
ever
lives out
overdosed
there,
or
man.
died from weed.
Never.
Never.
So it's just crazy, man. I got in the cannabis business years ago with Cookies and Burner, and then got into a treatment center. Like, I don't know, you know what it is? I get 9 no's to 1 yes. And when I get that 1 yes and someone believes in me, I run with it. I plant my seeds to get my fruit. And I work hard. I'm 55 years old, man. I just work hard. People like, yo, how do you get this? I put the work in.
Yeah.
And I try to tell people that less is more and quality over quantity. And that if you're just worried about money, that's the stupidest thing, because money comes and goes, but history stays. As long as you keep making history, you're going to make money.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm a leader, not a follower. People, you want to jump on after the thing, but you know what? Just give me that one opportunity. I'm going to turn the opportunity. And when Jam Master gave me an opportunity to go on the road with him, look what I did.
Right.
I wanted to make him proud. He said take advantage of him in a good way. And it's all about opportunities and relationships and keeping your word and doing good business, having good karma, man.
You gotta be built for that shit though. You was always built for it though. You know what I'm
From
saying?
Queens, baby.
Yeah. A lot of people ain't built for that shit. What you did? You hear all the jewels he dropping? Yo, this nigga dropping a whole jewelry case on y'all niggas, a treasure chest, man. So
On your scalp. I
Word.
hope y'all
And
picking
it
up
goes
what he's
back to the
dropping,
same
too.
thing with Nipsey, right? I know you want to touch on that.
I do. I was a big fan. Respected everything he did.
Yeah,
His
a
whole
lot of
come
people
up,
don't know
his
this,
volume
right?
2 and 3,
And Hip Hop Uncovered just came out. That big
oh yeah,
doc
you
on
was
FX.
in that, right?
I was in it, and I was involved with it behind the scenes. And
Right.
shout out my man Big U and
Yeah.
everybody in there. The
Oh.
funny thing is,
Bimmy.
I had run-ins with Haitian Jack when he used to come up to Relativity. I grew up with Bimmy and Deb in Queens.
Yeah.
Trick was my man from Detroit.
I ain't know Bimmy and Deb was
Yeah,
brothers.
that's Wap's mom and his
Right.
uncle.
Yeah.
And then me and Big U have family since he came up from jail. See, a lot of people don't understand this.
Mm.
Big U's wife's cousin's niece, I used to date.
Mm-hmm.
So they would tell him about me when he was locked up because he did 14 years. But she would never tell me about her family. She was the model, bro. You met her. She was a supermodel. She's not an Instagram model back then. She was a runway model, supermodel. She had billboards, traveled the world,
Right.
all that. And she was Afro-American. And she's married now, has a family. God bless her. So she never wanted me to know about her other side. Her father was from Denver Lane, Piru. He was locked up for 25 years. Her mother got killed when she was 2. But she lived in Inglewood with her grandmother, so I'd be in Inglewood every day. And I'm there with a nice car, I'm chilling. I'm not even knowing about gang shit, nothing. So, but when I came to LA, when Easy brought me here and he died, and I stayed out here, I stayed here because of the weather.
What
I was
year is this around?
Man, this is like 1993, 4. So I'm really the first guy from New York to
So you
really
was
be
here
out
in
here in the
94?
music. Yeah.
That's why I was
You
like,
was out here
wait,
before me?
I was out here before everybody.
Damn.
I know that for a fact. I was out here before
I
anybody.
came in
out here a
96. I came in 96.
I was out before everybody, and I was like, you know,
Came in 2018.
this grip was like, yo, what's up with your watch? What's up with your watch? You know,
Yeah.
this dude's like, hey man, you said the N-word. Go to the bank, give me some money. You go to the bank, give me money.
Yeah.
So I didn't know the whole territory, but I'm being a man because I'm a man. Because if I'm in the county jail right now in the cell, I gotta be a man. I can't just let you take my sneakers. You call me a bitch because we men. So I had to learn everything out here. So I would meet these people. I'm from this hood, this hood. I'm like, cool. But being in the music industry as a white guy, you can get extorted or laid down or disrespected, but
Right.
that ain't happening.
Yeah.
So, she's not telling me nothing about this, but they know about me, so they're telling him that. So she never wanted me to know that side. So he comes home. I was with my man Mustafa, that both you guys know.
Shout out to
just
Mustafa.
And
called
me
me
and
too.
Mook came up together. You know, Moo's my man.
Yeah.
And, you know, I visited Moo on the island, up north. You know, he's an official dude. And when he came home, I gave him jobs to be Bone Thugs security and stuff. And I love Kenny. I
Yeah.
call him Kenny.
Yeah,
But you got to call him Mustafa, you know. And he was with me at the Power 1 House 6 Summer Jam. And we in the back, and we on the wall, leaning. And this big motherfucker coming to us. White t-shirt and glasses. And I'm like, yo, Moo, we're on point, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know what's up. And he comes over like, yo, you Steve Lobel? I'm like, who wants to know? He's I'm Big U. So I said, all right, but I don't know who he is. Never heard his name, none. He said, I'm Big. All right, nice to meet you. He's like, yo, I just came home. I'm like, all right. And he says, such and such. I'm like, oh, shit. Just that name, we fam. But I never heard of you, but okay, we fam. He's like, yo, I just came home, we get your number, we build. So we build. And his nephew told him about this kid, and he was giving me a CD, and he gave me a CD that says Slauson Boy. So me and my man Mexican Sean, that you know, we driving in my car, and we're up on the 405 of traffic, and then we go to a meeting, and I come out to the meeting, and Sean's like, yo, you should listen to this CD. And we put on a song called I Don't Give a Fuck. And Bullets ain't got no name. And I'm like, yo, this dude's the West Coast 50. He's speeding the hood shit, and a lot of hooks.
I never even thought
So
about
I was like, damn. So I called Drawers back, Big U, and I'm like, yo. He's like, yo, come. So we go to the liquor store.
You hadn't seen him yet. You
Nah,
know he got the
went to a
whole
liquor
Snoop
store
look.
and pulled out a DVD from the liquor store, Bulletproof Glass. Pull out a DVD for y'all that know about DVDs, but and we
It's
watched
not a
the
frisbee.
DVD. Yeah, and you know,
If it's a whack record,
me
it
and
is.
Pistol Pete, by the way, we do a Dog in the Yard podcast.
Shout to
I'm
Pistol.
Yeah,
executive
shout out to
producer.
Pistol.
We did
fun episode.
documentaries back in the days called Hip Hop Police. We did Death Before Dishonor, where all the rappers come on, we want to see your paperwork, and the Jam Master Jay thing. So, make a long story short, we pull out this thing, and we get this DVD, and I'm watching. I'm like, he look like Snoop Dogg. I said, what's the name? He goes, Nipsey Hussle. I'm like, damn, that's a beautiful name. Find him, and then he pulled up a couple hours later, and the only thing about Nip that changed to me, rest in peace, size of his clothes. You know what I mean? He had the Malcolm piece in the Cube, and he had a Movado then. And he wore Dickie shorts and a long white tee. And I said, yo, I want to fuck with you, bro. I'm infatuated with your music. And now I just met you. And me and Big U just started rocking. And every label we went to would be like, Whack, looks like Snoop, Rolling 60s, Big U. And, you know, it took a long time to get him going and stuff. And everybody jumped on the bandwagon. And he nicknamed me Maniac Lobel.
I want to get into that. Why they call you Maniac? Why he call you Maniac?
Because anybody who really knows me knows I'm a maniac. Like if I gotta get busy, I'm gonna get busy. Fred knows me a long time. Like I'm not gonna be with you when beef goes down. I'm running. I'm just like, and I got my word and my balls, and
That's all you need.
I got integrity and principles and morals, and he respected that. And we would just move me and him, knowing that we got an army behind us. But we were on a tour, the LAX tour. Game gave us an opportunity to go on this tour, and J-Rock was on that tour. And Kendrick was K'd out at the time. And they were in a van, Top Dog and them. And I don't think Top was out there, but all of them else were. And then we were in a Winnebager, and then Game had his tour bus because Game was Game. But Nip started buzzing in New York first. And if you're a West Coast rapper and you start buzzing in New York, you know you got one. Because New York don't like a lot of people. And that's, you know, a big problem because New York don't like each other, all compete with each other. Who got a better fur, who pop more bottles, who got bigger chains, cars. And that's why New York needs to unify to get rap back and help each other, man. They don't do what the South does, man.
I swear to God, I put
But anyway,
everybody
and
on
I'm from
that.
New York, and I'm saying that because I've seen that for so long. It's like everybody's mean mugging each other in the club, like let's all just get along. So Nip started popping New York. We're on that tour, and Nip brought a lot of the homies, and we get in the Winnebager, and he picked me up, And the Winnebago only holds a certain amount of people, but they bringing like 60 of the homies. And they're like, yo, bro, find them shit somewhere, like, act like we in a county jail or something, in a holding cell. I'm like, bro, I've been on private plane tours,
He got the
tour
whole
buses,
hell,
vans, this and that, but first tour, he taking the homies. All right, cool.
They went on a
And
whole tour?
Yeah, and they all respect me.
Yeah.
So I get in there. And I've been on tours that some of your hardest, toughest jail dudes, they want to go home. They can't take the McDonald's.
It's
they
rough,
can't
man.
take
Rough.
not
It's rough.
sleeping. It's a rough life.
Yeah.
You know, and Moo will tell you that. So I get on the Winnebago, and we start going city to city, and we eat noodles. Nipsey's teaching about breakdowns that they do in the county jail, like noodles.
So y'all doing all the groundwork.
But a lot of the homies are like, man, this ain't for me. I'm going home.
Right.
Yeah.
And they flying out. They got their own money, and it dwindling down, and we're on a 52 city tour.
So by like the 50th show.
20.
No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
25th. A lot of
They
homies
make
went
it
home.
to the 20s.
So by half the tour, it was over.
But it's 52
Yeah.
cities, and you know me, I'll start something, I'll finish it, just like I started this project. And we were like the 40th tour show. Nip's like, yo, man, I'm out.
Oh, he couldn't.
I said, bro, no, now that he couldn't, he's like, yo, this, we got other things to do. I said, we start something, we finish it. You're a fucking maniac, bro. But I'm built for tours because I
So
toured
that's
my
how
whole
it
life.
came about. He was like,
My whole tour life,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
built. So he's like, man, you maniac. So he called Maniac Lobel.
Wow.
And we even had, Nip in Hollis, man, on Hollis,
Yeah.
on 2/3. Nip did a lot of his music in New York. He lived in Queens when he was doing
First
a lot
time I
of his
met
mixtapes.
First time I met Nick
Yes.
was in New York, Double XL concert. This was I was
Yeah,
already
he was doing
fucking
the
with him.
cover too.
Exactly. So he did the show, and me and my brother Diggs, shout out to Diggs, and we go to the show. We was already fucking with him, and this is why little shit like this is why I fuck with people, certain artists and certain things. He rocked out his show. He did his thing. He there with 20 of his peoples, all Crenshaw hoodied out, Crenshaw crew necked out, and when he was done with his show, the place was packed. He jumped off the stage, all his people, and walked through the crowd and left out the front door. Like, he didn't go to the backstage, and he ran up on her. He was like, no question.
he was real, like,
and he was showing love. I was like, I'll fuck
one
with
of
him
the smartest
forever.
artists that I ever worked with. But you were saying something before you brought that up. What were you saying? Do you remember? Does anybody remember what Fred was just saying?
I remember I met you brought Nipsey Hussle. Shout out my man Steve Marcano. He had a party up at the Mondrian Hotel for his diaper company, My Little Star. And you brought
he's
Nipsey
bringing
up
that
there.
back
This
up,
is
I
the
remember.
first time I met Nipsey. We actually have a picture that's on IG.
Yeah, with Fredro.
That's the first time
with
we
you,
seen him.
Stick, and me and Nip.
Yeah.
Yep. I showed that to the young lady the other day when they came through. But
Yeah.
no one really believed in that, and he called me Maniac Lobel. And again, he lived in Queens.
Yeah, so we lived in
He
Queens.
fucked with Jay's nephew, Bo.
Oh shit, he was in Hollis?
Yeah, he fucked with Bo, and he would take the train or the cab or whatever going into it and slow from slow bus,
Yeah.
and he would go to the city,
Yeah.
and he would work in Johnny Shipe's studio and Austin Rosen's studio.
Oh, that's
Nick
how he
was
got
living
with
in
Slow
Queens?
Bucks.
No, and I brought Shipes into
Oh, because he
the
got with the
picture,
guy
too.
from Slow Bucks. I see
And
him.
I
They got a
brought
good relationship.
Shipes into the picture.
You
and,
say Nip lived in Queens?
Nip stayed in Queens for a while doing all his mixtapes when he
I
was
didn't
working
even know that.
Austin Rosen, who managed Post Malone's studio in New York, and that's when French Montana would come to the studio too with his Coke Boy DVDs.
Got you.
So
Wow.
Nip,
I didn't know that.
Nip and French got a relationship a long time ago. Austin, who manages Post Malone, a lot of other big people.
Yeah.
He was a kid back then and had a studio.
Yeah.
And then what happened was me and Big U were the managers, and then we brought Johnny Shipes in, and Nipsey was working with Cinematic.
Oh shit.
I heard Steve is cool, but Big U is an animal.
Yeah. So a lot of the songs he says stuff, people don't. If you're a real Nipsey fan, you understand. But
Right.
what's fucked up is we're coming to this interview will probably run after, but his passing.
Yeah.
I was with him the day before he passed at the Texas Tech game. Shout out to Brandon Francis and Big Bob Francis. His son was playing for Texas Tech, so went to the game. And I always try to tell people, and we were talking the other day about Idi Amin getting his yacht party for his roses. Like,
Shout out to Edie,
to be honest with you, like, people want to salute people and respect them and tell them they love them when they're dead.
Right.
Whenever I see Fred, I'm like, how's your fam? I love you. Like, it's family. There's no fakeness, right?
Uncle Steve.
And don't like my shit, comment. Don't post me when I'm dead, man. Because do it when I'm alive. Like, let's pat each other on the back. Let's salute each other when we're alive.
Right.
And that's the problem. A lot of people do that shit.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty to it. Someone dies, I go look for a picture with them. I got pictures with everybody and post it. But it's kind of like backwards and stuff. Like, if we really appreciate someone and love them and respect them or salute them,
Mhm.
let's honor them and love them when they're here.
Right.
That's right.
And you know, someone came to me with an idea like, let's put all the fallen soldiers on the wall in the
It's too
parking
many.
lot. I'm like, I don't want to paint someone's face when they're dead.
Yeah.
I only want to put people when they're alive. And
Yeah.
and I don't respect when someone dies, everybody runs and goes through murals.
That's
and,
the worst,
You
man.
know, with Nip, he's bigger dead than alive,
Mhm.
and you love him now, and all his music selling and everything that he's doing is selling, but he needed that when he was alive.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with people, man. And I think it's corny, and you know
That philosophy
You
you
know
just
what it
said, not
was?
to cut you off, Penny
Yeah.
Lane is doing a whole thing. Shout out to Penny Lane where she gives all these artists her flowers.
While they're
their
alive.
flowers while they're
Yeah,
here.
give me flowers.
All
If
the
you love
OGs,
someone,
all the people that you think
nothing
you
wrong with
forgot
telling
about,
another
ain't
man
doing
you love him and you
Sorry,
respect
man.
him and you
Right.
salute him.
Give me flowers, man.
What you
Yeah.
about to say?
No, that's what's up. You got to.
You're supposed to let them know that, like, you know, not pick and choose what you want to like or comment
Mm-hmm.
on, or, you know, see someone tell them you love them because they might not be relevant at the moment, or they're not, you know, rich at the moment, or ain't got the right car. Like, a man is a man, a
Mm-hmm.
woman is a woman, and we're supposed to salute the people. And that's why I keep my circle close and
Mm-hmm.
tight, because there's so much fake. This music industry, 95% of people are fake.
The way
And I-
Nip,
you know, fake.
the way Nip came at it with the marathon continues, that was his. He wasn't about the media or acting
Yeah.
stupid or saying stupid shit on camera to get views. The way he was going, it was kind of like the groundwork. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The marathon.
Smartest artists I ever worked with, no disrespect to anybody else. We would always fight because I'm like, yo, we need radio plays. Like, fuck them, let them come to us.
Right.
And he always wanted to soak up game, read books, learn, educate, listen. And again, like I said, the only thing that changed about him was his clothes. But for everybody watching this, like, if you love someone, respect someone, you know, salute them when they're here, not when they're dead, because you'll regret it, because then they're dead, you can't even tell them nothing.
Right.
So, you know, I don't respect that shit.
Ironically, last time I saw him was March 9th, and I was wearing a Biggie sweater at an event that him and Emery threw, a Puma event right there. Crenshaw and
There's a
Slauson.
picture when we go through this museum of me, Nip, and Hove.
Yeah.
And I remember being on my couch and Nip called me, Maniac, I'm doing something tonight, pull up. And it was pouring rain, and it was at the Peppermint Lounge, the Peppermint Club next to Jerry's Deli.
Yeah.
Remember the Jerry's Deli on
Yeah, that
Beverly?
little one right there. That little
Yeah,
club?
but you remember there used to be
Yeah.
another club
Yeah.
right there?
Yeah, right next door.
But now they call it the Peppermint Lounge or something.
Right.
But back in the days, it was right next to
Yeah,
Jerry's.
used to go there all
I
the
forgot
time.
the name
Forgot
of the
the name of
place.
that shit too, yeah.
Small place. And he's like, pull up. And it was pouring rain in Cali that night.
Yeah.
And I pulled up by myself, and you know, my camera guy was there, and he caught that flick of me, Hove, and Nip, and I put it there.
That's an ill one, too.
And Hove was like, and Nip was like, yo, Steve rocked with me in the beginning, and Hove didn't know that. As long as I know Hove for 25 years, he didn't know that I worked with Nip and put Nip on with
word?
Big U. Even with Puff, I was at Puff's house one day working with Scott Storch and Puff. He was doing something for Victory Lap. Nip pulls up, and then Nip comes and he's like, oh, and Puff's like, he's like, yo, Steve was in the beginning, so Puff didn't even know that. So
Word.
a lot of people didn't know that because, you know, me and Big U, you know, we exposed that. We just did what we did and put the work in.
Jay
But,
showed
you
love
know,
and bought 100 copies
yeah.
of Crenshaw.
But you know,
Right.
that was,
$100
you know,
a
throughout the years, you know, different things were happening, so people, you know, were around and stuff. But at the end of the day, we know what we did. We
I saw him
like
early.
to
You
build
brought-
from the dirt.
You brought
Yeah.
him through early.
Anything I do, I'll build from the dirt. This place right here is from the dirt.
Right.
Yeah.
And when it works, then people will try to copy it. I don't know if you saw, we got a lemonade stand outside. You know, we're gonna have lemonade. So
Yeah.
we think out the box. We're real creative, real innovative, and we look at longevity and building legacy. So, you know, at the end of the day, we're not here to prove nothing to nobody.
So
We just want to
Steve-
work hard.
To everybody
We
looking
giving-
at this,
yeah.
he's giving Jews, man.
And we gonna give him his
Do the
flowers.
knowledge.
This is,
Do the knowledge,
we wanted
man.
to talk to you because this was some fly shit. Like, I called you, I was like, yo, this guy got a hip hop museum slash
Yo, you know,
dispensary.
I was here. Maybe when you first got the spot, remember?
Yeah, we
it was.
did.
It was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
went upstairs
That's
and
what
all
I was
that.
saying.
They had
This is-
nobody
I'm
in
looking
there.
at it like this. I'm like,
Yeah.
as soon as I walk in, I see the Death Row chair. I'm like, oh.
Right.
But you know what's so crazy? He said he was here when it wasn't nothing, right?
Yeah.
So that's just putting your blinders on, focused, let no one take you away from your grind, and make it happen. Walk it through, see
right.
it through to the end. A lot of people start stuff, but they don't finish it. You also came to my treatment center in the beginning stages.
That was the same day.
Same day.
Was
You were
it
on a
same
field
day?
trip.
Yeah, it was
with
the
me.
same day, yeah.
You were on a field trip with me.
The field
Was the
trip.
same day.
That was the
And
same
throughout
day.
the pandemic, we were blessed to open businesses. But now, when you see the finished product,
about
like,
it, none of them
this
were
was the
open.
vision. This was the vision. But he came
Word.
through. He
They were
walked
both under
through here.
construction.
Now, when he walks through and sees everything,
Yeah.
he's gonna be like, "Wow, you really did it." We don't
I just
talk
wanna say
about it.
something
We
too.
be about it.
You saved one of my best friends. I'm not gonna say no names. You saved his life.
That was
With-
God.
Well,
That
you
was real,
you was
Steve.
part of the
That was real, Steve.
same thing you did for Scott Storch, you did for my peoples, man.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
you know, look,
Yeah,
it's our
that's real.
people's,
Yeah,
first of all.
yeah.
Number two, and it's, you know, family, but, you know, I believe everything happens in life is God.
Right.
That's
And
a
everything that's written is from God, and everything happens for a reason, and tomorrow's not promised, and people always question different
glory
things, and
to
like,
God.
that was the reason why it happened for a reason, or
Yeah.
God wanted that. I never question stuff no more, because
Right.
I'm a true believer in God.
Mhm.
And I pray to God every day, and I pray to God for my family's health,
Yeah.
and I pray to God to keep me going and strong, right?
Yeah.
And this pandemic comes, and a lot of people, they worry about their health now, when we should be worrying about our health and loving our family
Mhm.
before this pandemic,
Right.
which is the real things in life. And it woke up a lot of people, especially a lot of rappers who were blowing their money on dumb shit. They wish they had their money back.
Mhm.
But the person that we helped was because of God. And we're not going to say names, but it's a crazy story, because he called me. He said, yo, I heard you got a treatment center. And at that time, that one wasn't open, but my partner had the treatment centers. So I called someone to help someone. And the crazy thing was, that person went to go visit our people and wound up dying and had a heart attack.
Wow.
So God saved someone's life but took someone else's life.
Mhm.
I didn't question it. And then I asked our people, when I told them what happened, I said, such and such passed away. He's like, what? I said, yeah, bro, but you need to do me a favor and go to his funeral. He's like, I don't go to funerals. I'm like, well, you never get the treatment, and you did. He's like, you're right, I'll go to the funeral. And he went to the funeral, and he got to meet the guy's mom and all the friends, and they were like,
Wow.
oh my God, he's here. And they looked at him as an iconic legend. And they were like, yo, he looked up to you, and he just wanted to meet him, but he went there and he had a heart attack before he got to meet him.
That's wild.
And crazy how God works,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, man. It's real shit.
God,
man.
but
Just
yeah.
want-
Real
Yeah.
shit though,
real
right?
shit,
That
though.
story's real, right?
Yeah, it is real shit
That's
though.
real-
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
So because of my integrity and my principles and morals, I put a picture of the person who died in our studio in memory of that man. And his wife and kids called me like, wow. Because he was going to be part of that treatment center.
Yeah.
Because he reconnected me with the guy I grew up with.
Right.
Yeah.
But, you know, everything happens for a reason. I never
Everything
question
happens for a
God, man.
reason, man.
I just want to tell everybody out this, though.
Mhm.
We're here once in life.
Yeah.
And when we go, we're not coming back. I'm very selfish. I'm scared of dying. And I feel like if I die, I want everybody to die, but that's really selfish, right? And don't have no regrets and live life for today, because don't hold on to grudges and hold on to the money and hold on to this and all that, because we're not here forever, man.
Yeah.
There's only two things in life that's guaranteed: death and the IRS.
That's right.
And as we get older, you know, it's not promised. So, you know, like,
Right.
make the best of it.
Make
Like,
it.
people say to me, like, yo, man, you're always working. Because I love to work.
We
And that's
work.
one of my addictions. So in the treatment center, the guys are like, yo, what's your addiction? What drug? I'm like, work. Which is a drug.
Right.
I don't have no children. They
Right.
get married. But
Oh, wow.
at the end of the day, no, it's real shit. I cheated myself on
Like
certain
you.
things. But, you know, a lot of people say, yo, you're
Working.
making shit happen. You got the same 24 hours a day to make the same shit happen,
That's
too.
right.
You got 2 legs and 2 arms.
We were talking off
Well,
camera.
come
like,
on.
You were like, I don't even.
There's no
sleep.
excuse that you got 2 legs and 2 arms in your health.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you got health, it's a different ballgame.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
So,
So
Steve,
we all
you've
got
been
the
in the
same
game a
24
long
hours.
time, brother. 30 years plus, 30 plus
30
years.
plus, yeah.
So we here, me and Fredro, you guys known each other forever. You know, we've been rocking for a little. We giving you your flowers. That's why we bringing this show here.
Right.
We're trying to bring a light to everything you're doing, because people see you on the sidelines of a game. They don't know what you do. They'll see you behind every artist. You're a behind the scenes kind of guy, mostly. You know what I mean? So for everybody that don't know who Steve Lobel is, hopefully this episode brought you a little closer. Please support what he's doing, because you see where it's coming from. You know what I'm saying? It's coming from a heart, coming from a good place. He's dealt with legends. He deals with the young boys. You never got outdated. You know what I mean?
No
You
shout out.
you
No
never,
shout out or reinvent
never
yourself.
switched up on nobody.
You know what it is? You know, I taught you something that every football game, someone's gonna sing the national anthem.
Mhm.
You wouldn't think that.
Yeah.
Because you know what? It's not on TV.
Mhm.
But if you're there live, you'll see that.
That's right.
And then people be thinking like, yo, why this guy got pictures of everybody? My throwback game is crazy because I only had a camera because I was doing retail promotions, putting up posters and stickers. So
Yeah.
I have to take the pictures, and I'm like, you know what? Let's get a picture with the artist.
Yeah.
And I tell myself,
Yeah.
and I tell people I'm a dinosaur, but I'm fossil fuel. So I stay relevant, and I don't sell my soul out. I don't sell my soul.
Don't publish it.
No, I don't sell my soul out to be relevant.
Still
And my
rap.
whole career has been a cruise control. I'd rather be on cruise control than up and then fall down and never
That's
come
right.
up, or
It's
down
a
and never go up.
marathon, like he
A
said.
marathon
that
like Nipsey.
When you open
word.
that door and we go out, that whole wall, you're gonna be stripping.
Yeah.
Oh, I got some shit to show you in the box, bro.
I gotta see this shit.
On the other side of this door, back in the days, I would have promo stickers from labels, and I have to go put them on lampposts and walls.
Don't tell me you got some
And-
Onyx promo stickers.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait,
shit.
now look, wait. You
Yeah.
have to do all that stuff back in days. Remember, that's how promo was.
That's how it was. We didn't
And
have
the
IG. We didn't have none of that shit.
Yeah.
And POP. So again, when I did a lot of retail promotions for Relativity, I would take Common, because I worked with Common Sense, forgot about him from the Midwest. And I would take Common on a retail run to the Ave and go to all those stores,
Yeah.
the Wiz,
Hot Wax.
Sam Goody, all that.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, let me get the pictures of the posters up. And back then, we had to sign glossies, 8x10s. I got an Onyx glossy.
Hello.
I got an Onyx sticker. I got Onyx t-shirts.
Yeah.
Wait. So, and there's a Boss sticker, a Boss 8x10 in there. We didn't have IG. There was no selfie. So, what I would do is like, yo, let me take a picture with the artist on a Polaroid.
Yeah.
And then I would just develop it and keep it in photo albums. So, on my house, I got photo albums of all these throwbacks that we throwing up.
God.
I just hoarded or saved or kept things. Didn't know there was going to be an IG, because if I did, I wouldn't be here. I'd be on an island rich as
Yeah.
fuck. I didn't know that I was going to open a museum with half this stuff. Like, I just saved shit. And it was all in Queens, where I started, under the bed, in the closet, in my dad's house. And one day I went, a few months ago, and put all these Adidas tote bags. I used to carry Pajama J.
Took to LA.
And brought to LA. See how it all just, it's crazy.
It all came together, brother.
That's crazy.
So,
not knowing that
we're,
this would be here 30 years later.
And I know that we were going to de-virginize the first interview here, and I'm about to show some Onyx shit of you with 8x10,
Rappers
Yeah.
and ballers,
stickers,
baby.
and t-shirts.
Exclusive.
So check this
Right
out.
here.
We're about to go on a little tour. We're gonna show them. We're gonna
Alright.
bring the cameras around, give you a sneak peek. Please pull up if you're in the area. The grand opening is
Now,
Now it's open,
Hello.
ready for business.
It's
Weed,
open, open
weed working.
7040 Havenhurst Avenue in Van Nuys. Lemonade powered by Weed Working, associated with Cookies and my man Burner.
Beautiful.
Hip Hop Museum, recording studio, dispensary, cultivation of its first kind. Beautiful girl outside the bikini selling lemonade. Only real motherfuckers allowed. Only real smokers allowed.
yeah.
Only real guys who appreciate hip hop allowed.
Fish shoot.
That's right.
This is it right
So
here.
we're
This
gonna
shit
go
is
on this
crazy.
tour. Give you a little sneak peek. We can't give you everything.
Give him everything.
We're gonna give you everything.
Let's
Alright,
go.
man, let's do
Let's
it.
go
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah,